In the 1992-93 NBA season, Dražen Petrović averaged over 22 points per game, shooting nearly 52% from the field, and around 45% from three. In the early 90s, that wasn't normal. It was ahead of its time. Before the three-point era exploded, Petrović was already playing like the future had arrived early. But stats alone don't explain him. Petrović wasn't just talented, he was obsessed. There are countless stories of him staying in the gym long after everyone else left, taking hundreds, even thousands of shots. Teammates would finish practice, go home and return later, and he'd still be there. That kind of work ethic isn't common. It's what separates good players from legends. Before the NBA, he had already built his name in Europe. Playing for Cibona and later Real Madrid, Petrović dominated at a level that made him a global star. One of the most famous examples came in a European final, where he scored 62 points, not in a regular game, in a final. That performance alone showed what kind of scorer he really was. When he entered the NBA, though, things didn't go as expected. With the Portland Trail Blazers, his minutes were limited. He spent more time on the bench than on the court. For a player used to leading, it was frustrating. Many players would have accepted that role. Petrović didn't. Instead of giving up, he worked harder, waiting for the moment he knew would come. That moment arrived when he was traded to the New Jersey Nets. Finally given real playing time, Petrović exploded. He became one of the most efficient scorers in the league. Night after night, he delivered pull-up jumpers, three-pointers, contested shots. It didn't matter. Defenders struggled to stop him because he was so precise and confident in every move. One night, he would drop 30 points with ease. Another night, he'd dominate from the perimeter. He wasn't flashy in the modern sense, but he was deadly, focused, controlled. Every movement had purpose. You could see the hours of work behind every shot he took. On the international stage, he was just as impactful. Representing Croatia, Petrović carried his team with pride. At the 1992 Olympics, Croatia reached the final against the legendary U.S. Dream Team, filled with names like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. Even in that setting, Petrović didn't back down. He competed with confidence, showing the world he belonged at the highest level. By 1993, everything was aligning. He was entering his prime, his numbers were rising, and his reputation was growing fast. Many believed he was on track to become one of the greatest European players in NBA history. The scary part was, he still hadn't reached his peak. He was only getting better. Then came June 7th, 1993, a day that changed everything. After playing in a tournament for Croatia, Petrović chose to travel by car through Europe. Instead of flying, he was a passenger, likely resting after competition, with no idea what was ahead. On a wet highway in Germany near Denkendorf, conditions were poor, rain reduced visibility, and the roads were dangerous. Suddenly, a truck crossed into their lane. There was almost no time to react. The collision was devastating. Petrović was sitting in the front passenger seat and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. The impact was fatal. He died instantly at just 28 years old. 28. That's not the end of a career. It's the middle of greatness. That's when players usually step into their prime, when they begin building their legacy. For Petrović, that moment never came. The basketball world was left in shock. Teammates, fans, and players across the world struggled to process it. A player who had fought so hard to prove himself, who had just begun to dominate, was suddenly gone. What makes his story even more painful is the question of what could have been. As the NBA began to embrace international talent in the years that followed, Petrović would have been at the center of it. Players like Dirk Nowitzki and Manu Ginobili later carried that global wave, but Petrović helped open that door. His legacy didn't end with his death. It grew stronger. He became a symbol of dedication, discipline, and belief. Young players looked at his journey and saw what was possible with relentless work. Even today, when you watch his highlights, you can't help but wonder how far he could have gone. The confidence, the skill, the mentality, it all pointed towards something special. Dražen Petrovic's story isn't just about tragedy. It's about greatness that was still unfolding. It's about a player who refused limits and proved himself against all odds. Because in the end, legends aren't defined by how long they play, but by the impact they leave behind. And even though his life ended on a rainy road in Germany, his legacy never stopped moving.